over a century, a tradition of intercollegiate athletic excellence has been strong in central Nebraska. This is an inside look at that tradition. This is the University of Nebraska Kearney Loper Review. Loper Review is brought to you by Nebraska Star Beef, from our family to yours.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Loper Review. I'm your host, Randy Bushcutter. On this month's show, we'll spend some time taking a look at the long and illustrious career of Tom Kropp, who has spent over half of his life as either an athlete or coach for the Lopers, but retired at the end of last month. We'll also take a look at one colorful way the athletic department is raising a few more dollars for scholarships. And in our senior spotlight, we'll visit with a baseball player who's been part of one of the most productive offenses the Lopers have seen in a long, long time. And in Antelope 101, it's time to bring you Chapter 2 of the 1950s. It all starts in just a couple of minutes, so stay with us right here on Loper Review.
Loper Review is brought to you by Nebraska Star Beef.
The Nebraska Star Beef Pure Promise. No antibiotics, no hormones, humane treatment of animals, USDA choice or higher, a price that is always fair, and satisfaction guaranteed. At Nebraska Star Beef, we pay close attention to what we feed our families and are passionate about delivering beef that you can feel good about serving to your family. Visit us at nebraskastarbeef.com for more information.
Programming is made possible in part by the Museum of Nebraska Art in Kearney. From the artist explores through the modern era to the art of today, Mona tells the story of Nebraska through the art of Nebraska. Whether you're online at mona.unk.edu or on our doorstep, there's always something new to see and do.
That school bus is yellow for a reason. Yellow means caution. Those flashing lights are red for a reason. Red means stop.
Hey girl, what's up? Nothing much.
Never pass a stopped school bus. Don't pass from either direction. It's not just the law, it's a child's life.
Brought to you by the University of Nebraska at Kearney, Child Safety Network, School Bus Safety Company, and the Nebraska Safety Center. Keeping Nebraskans safe, one day at a time.
You're watching the Nebraska Star Beef Loper Review.
Welcome back. You know, over the last 3 years, we have featured a lot of players and coaches that have made a tremendous impact on Loper athletics over the past 100 years. Names like Charlie Foster and Al Zickman come to mind. But arguably, no one has had more of an impact as both an athlete and a coach as Tom Kropp. It was a career that almost didn't happen in Kearney. As the Nebraska High School Athlete of the Year his senior year at Aurora, he was eagerly sought by the Cornhuskers to play football. He did go to Lincoln, but only after a day or two, he decided that Kearney State would be a better fit. As an athlete, he was outstanding in both football and basketball, earning All-American honors for both sports before being drafted by both the NFL and NBA. He still holds the school record for points in a game with 51 against Central Missouri back in 1974.
My first recollection of Tom Kropp was when I was a junior in high school and we came to UNK or Kearney State College basketball games. I'd heard a lot about Tom, but I had never been able to see him participate in sports until I was about a junior in high school. And I remember coming to one of my first college games and I didn't know each of the players or who they were, and I asked which one was Tom, and they said, that's the heavy-set guy over there. I go, oh, you got to be kidding me. Well, once the ball game started, I knew which one Tom Kropp was from the rest of the game, and of course everybody's had the stories over the years, but that was the first time I really met Tom. And then briefly after that, that summer, that following summer, I started coming out to the college to work out with some of the players. And so then that's when our relationship started back in probably 1975.
He was a two-time selection as Nebraska's College Athlete of the Year. He chose basketball for his pro career and started in the NBA with Washington, but soon moved to Chicago. After a few years with the Bulls, he went on to a brief but productive career in Europe. It was also there that he met his future wife, Sonia.
Yeah, that's another story. Maggie, my wife, was at the time working in an office downstairs from where Tom and I lived, and her and I started off with a friendship and ended up going a little more serious. And Sonia worked in another branch of the same travel agency that Maggie worked in, and had called Sonia and said she needed to come and watch these Americans play basketball. And so one thing led to the next, and I guess a year after I played in Belgium, Tom played in Belgium. A year after I got married to a Belgian gal, Tom got married to a Belgian gal. So that's kind of how that worked out.
In the 80s, Coach Kropp returned to Kearney and became an assistant coach for Jerry Heiser. The two of them became co-head coaches from 1990 to 96. Coach Kropp was also the solo head coach from 97 to 2005, and then again became co-head coach by promoting longtime assistant Kevin Lofton.
It was basically, I call it divine intervention if you want. The story goes, I was doing an internship at the United States Olympic Training Center in Colorado Springs. I had to be at the office at 8 a.m. and I left at 5 p.m. every day. And I was miserable. It was just not, sitting at a desk all day long was not for me. I had minored in coaching, and out of the blue, my supervisor that had helped me with my minor in coaching called me up and said, hey, I know a guy, Kevin O'Connor, at North Platte Community College that's looking for a part-time assistant. Would you be interested? I jumped at the chance. I was in North Platte Community College for 2 years under Kevin O'Connor. He really gave me my chance to get into coaching. And after 2 years, I knew for a fact that's what I wanted to do. And it was through Kevin O'Connor that I met Coach Kropp for the second time. And it was basically their relationship, their belief that in each other and what Coach Kropp was looking for really got me in the door, bottom line. When I decided I wanted to do this for a career, when I decided I needed a master's, Coach O'Connor picked up the phone, called Coach Kropp, and said, hey, I got a guy for you. And that was pretty much it. I just know being around Coach Kropp, it seemed like each and every day I enjoyed coming to work. You know, the life lessons that he was teaching me and teaching the players, I really bought into. I felt like, you know, they were things that other good coaches had been saying to me all along. So it just really became at ease and comfortable of being around Coach Kropp. I would say I always believed in myself, but I think the one thing that Coach Kropp has is a quality that the great ones have, and that is, you know, you strive to want to do good for him. You want to make him proud of you without him having to really push you very hard. You know, it's just knowing that you're thankful for the opportunity, you want to please the guy you're working for, so you go out and work extremely hard, and you knowing that if you do well, he's going to appreciate it. I think that's just been the driving force for me for years.
As either head coach or co-head coach, Kropp saw 13 of his teams win 20 games and 11 times made it to the NCAA tournament. The high point was making it to the Elite Eight in 2003. The team was honored as a team of distinction just this past season. The reunion of that team underscored how important it was for his former players to say that Coach Kropp was not only a great coach, but a great role model as well.
Well, when I was interviewing for this job here at the University of Nebraska Kearney, I did some research, and it became real clear in a short period of time that Tom Kropp was not only a legend as a coach, but also was an extraordinary athlete for the University of Nebraska Kearney, and specifically for the state of Nebraska. And it was a real treat for me to do research on Tom and to learn more about him as an individual that was going to be leading our men's basketball program. So when I had the opportunity to be hired in 2013 to be the athletic director, it was a real treat for me to sit down with Tom and have a chance to talk with him about the history of the University of Nebraska Kearney and his role not only as a student athlete but also transitioning into the positions of being an assistant coach, a co-head coach, then a head coach, and then a co-head coach again. And it was just a fascinating time for me to build that relationship in the fall of 2013.
You know, when you talk about percentage, I would say 90%, maybe even 95% of the coaches that meet him, he has a way of making them feel like, you know what, they're long lost friends. You know, that basically he's a person that for some reason you're able to relax and just be yourself, and he makes you want, you know, without trying, he makes you want to get to know him better, want to be around him more. He just lifts you up.
Well, I think one of the things with Tom when it came to coaching, he tried to express to his players to play as hard-nosed and give 100% effort all the time, just like he did. Of course, that's probably what he expected more from his players. It's a whole different ballgame being a coach versus being a player, and so you have to be able to control your emotions a little different. At times, I think he impressed me, I guess, about Tom is you didn't see him doing a lot of coaching during the years at a game. He always believed in doing that in practice time, and of course he still would get into the games, but just a different style than you see a lot of the coaches nowadays that are always standing up, running up and down the sidelines and hollering at players and officials. You don't see that too often from Tom.
Well, Tom is an extraordinarily storyteller. He's got great charisma and a wonderful personality. So I've learned that about him, but I've also learned that Tom is a true gentleman that has a great respect and care for people. And that's been a great role model for me and a great example of what a real leader is.
You know, we've only really scratched the surface on what Tom Kropp has meant to UNK athletics over the years. And as a reporter recently said, as good of an athlete as Tom Kropp was, he's an even better person. We certainly would agree with that and wish him the best of luck as he moves from being Coach Kropp to being Professor Kropp. And we wish Kevin Lofton the best of luck as he becomes the solo head coach of the Lopers. It's time for us to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll take a look at a colorful way to raise some scholarship money here at UNK. That's coming up next on Loper Review.
Loper Review is brought to you by Nebraska Star Beef.
The Nebraska Star Beef Pure Promise. No antibiotics, no hormones, humane treatment of animals, USDA choice or higher, a price that is always fair, and satisfaction guaranteed. At Nebraska Star Beef, we pay close attention to what we feed our families and are passionate about delivering beef that you can feel good about serving to your family. Visit us at nebraskastarbeef.com for more information.
Programming is made possible in part by the Museum of Nebraska Art in Kearney. From the artist explores through the modern era to the art of today, Mona tells the story of Nebraska through the art of Nebraska. Whether you're online at mona.unk.edu or on our doorstep, there's always something new to see and do.
You're watching the Nebraska Star Beef Loper Review.
Welcome back. Earlier this month, the athletic department held their annual Color Stampede as a fundraiser for UNK athletics. We were there and we followed the event from one end of the rainbow to the other.
A lot of the things we repeated from previous years because it's gone so well. We still had the kids 1K, and that's always been a great hit too for the kids to run, and they get to enjoy the color, but they don't have to run quite as far, so that's fun. And I think our athletes might kind of top the list there. They pretty much enjoy covering the runners with the color, and then they end up pretty colorful themselves. You know, our runners are having a good time, they're full of color, they're smiling, there's going to be good food. Just, it's a great experience, and so, you know, it's just, each year you don't know what you're going to get.
Well, there you have it. Donate a little money to UNK Athletics and wear a work of art. Well, the baseball team has been a work of art when it comes to hitting the ball out of the ballpark this season. A big reason why will be in our senior spotlight when we come back right after this.
Loper Review is brought to you by Nebraska Star Beef.
The Nebraska Star Beef Pure Promise. No antibiotics, no hormones, humane treatment of animals, USDA choice or higher, a price that is always fair, and satisfaction guaranteed. At Nebraska Star Beef, we pay close attention to what we feed our families and are passionate about delivering beef that you can feel good about serving to your family. Visit us at nebraskastarbeef.com for more information.
Programming is made possible in part by the Museum of Nebraska Art in Kearney. From the artist explores through the modern era to the art of today, Mona tells the story of Nebraska through the art of Nebraska. Whether you're online at mona.unk.edu or on our doorstep, there's always something new to see and do.
You're watching the Nebraska Star Beef Loper Review.
Welcome back. Time now to shine our senior spotlight on Max Ayub from the UNK baseball team. And Max, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
We're going to start off with, you didn't start off coming from Grand Island to Kearney. You went to UNO. Talk about that decision to go from being a Maverick to becoming a Loper.
I mean, it felt like it was a good decision at the time. Thought I would get out of Grand Island, go to a little bigger city and take on Omaha, and then baseball just didn't really work out there, so I decided to come to UNK, and I mean, so far it's been one of the best decisions I've ever made.
So your sophomore year was the first year UNK was in the MIAA, coming from the RMAC. So you didn't have any RMAC experience, but that transition, you probably got a sense of the transition from conference and also your transition into a new program as well. How did that first year go for you?
I mean, it went pretty well, and coming from UNO, and they had just moved out of the MIAA. I had heard some good things about the MIAA, and everything that I had heard about the new conference was that it was one of the best conferences in Division II, and I was just really looking forward to getting a chance to go and play in it.
Any surprises that you've kind of had in terms of that transition or UNK's transition?
There wasn't too many surprises. I knew that it was going to be good competition all the way around, and I was just ready to take on whatever was going to be thrown at me.
And how about your transition, going from Omaha to Kearney, where, you know, people in Kearney know you from Grand Island?
That was a little different, moving a little closer to home and just to a smaller town that was more around my hometown. Was a bit of a different move, but it turned out to be a pretty good one.
What is it about that you like?
I do like that it's closer to home and get to see my family a little more often, even though it's only 40 miles away. But I have ran into a whole bunch of high school friends here, whereas in Omaha I didn't know really anybody, and it's been different, but it's been good.
Have you really kind of been pointing toward the senior year? Because obviously it's your senior year, but also it seems like the team, the timing, everything is kind of coming together for this season.
Yeah, a lot of things have kind of worked out. We got one of our pitchers who would have graduated last year, came off a medical redshirt, and he's back this year. And there's a whole bunch of fifth-year guys. I think there's 7 or 8 fifth-year guys this year, and I'm a third year. We got some other big-time third-year guys, and everything does seem like it's just kind of coming together right at this time.
You guys travel a lot in the MIAA. In fact, I think the first year, your sophomore year, first year in the conference, you guys traveled a grand total of something like 7,000 miles. There's a lot of travel. Talk a little bit about the impact that kind of has on you and your studying.
It's definitely tough traveling a whole bunch with schoolwork, and but most of the time our professors they're pretty helpful as long as we keep in touch and do our work. They're able to work with us and help us get our stuff done on time. And Coach Day is big on getting all of our work done too. We have study hours if you're not getting your stuff done, and when we're on road trips, we have Wi-Fi that travels with us so we can do everything on the buses that we need to. And it's definitely a challenge, but it's definitely doable if you put in the time.
But you're obviously up for the challenge, all conference, academic team. How important are those academics to you, and the extra effort that it takes to get to that level?
Yeah, they're very important. With whatever sport you're playing, you got to have your education. That's the reason you're going to school. And so you got to get that homework done, get all your stuff in. And it's definitely the main point that you're playing baseball in college, just to get an education. And so we've always kind of put that ahead of everything.
Scholar athlete.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's talk a little bit about your degree. Tell us what your degree's in and kind of what you plan on doing with that after graduation.
I'm going into business management, and I'm not quite sure what I'm doing after I graduate. But with the business degree, you have a lot of options, and so I'm still kind of working out what I could possibly do.
And you've been the player of the week a few times in the conference over the last couple of years, including this season. Is baseball part of your future after graduating from UNK? What are your plans?
Any guy that plays college baseball would they would definitely like to keep playing ball, and I would love to do that. I'm hoping to, but if it doesn't work out, then I definitely have that degree that's right there that I can get back onto.
So obviously you'd like to get drafted, but if that doesn't work out, there's still some options.
Yeah, there definitely is. There's independent ball, there's free agent signings, and I'm fortunate enough to just be playing college baseball right now, but if I could keep continuing my baseball career, then I would definitely take that.
Obviously academics very important, baseball very important, and you kind of ventured away from those elements a little bit with some community service. You're part of a program where you guys read to a group of kindergartners every Monday. Talk about exactly what you guys do and what it's meant for you.
It's every Monday is it's an adventure. We show up and the first 15 minutes, we kind of help them with their little homework. We do math with them or do some kind of games. And then for the rest of the time, we read to them or they read to us. And it's a great time just going in, having conversations with these kindergartners and getting to meet all of them, and just to see how much fun they have and how much enjoyment they get from seeing us come in and hanging out with them for a while is just awesome.
And it isn't different classes, it's the same class, so you're getting to know these kids.
Yeah. Definitely, and it's been going on for the course of the entire year, so we've gotten to know every single kid pretty much.
When you're not reading to kindergartners or having them read to you or playing baseball or studying, probably not a lot of time left, but what do you like to do with your spare time?
Usually in my spare time, I just hang out at home with my roommates, or we sit on our roof and just kind of watch the cars drive by, and we just like to relax a lot since we don't get to do too much of that.
You have a skybox on your roof.
We have on the lower level, there's a porch, and then on the top level, there's the roof above the porch, and so we can walk out the window and just kind of hang out on top of that. And a great place to just hang out and watch the world go by.
Is that Coach Day approved?
I don't know if he knows that.
He does now.
It's not too high off the ground, so it's not bad.
We often ask this question of folks in our senior spotlight, and that is, what are some of the memories, what are some things that you draw out of your experience being here at UNK?
I would say definitely the relationships that I've made with everybody since I've come to Kearney. The community is just so tight-knit, and everybody that I've met has been so awesome. All my teammates, my roommates, I'm going to have those friends for the rest of my life. And just the relationships that I've made since I've been here have been the best things that I could ask for.
Hey, Max, appreciate the time. Best of luck to you in the future.
Thank you for having me.
All right. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll have a class that an academic all-conference player would appreciate. Antelope 101 coming up right after this.
You're watching the Nebraska Star Beef Loper Review.
The Nebraska Star Beef Pure Promise. No antibiotics, no hormones, humane treatment of animals. USDA choice or higher, a price that is always fair, and satisfaction guaranteed. At Nebraska Star Beef, we pay close attention to what we feed our families and are passionate about delivering beef that you can feel good about serving to your family. Visit us at nebraskastarbeef.com for more information.
Loper Review is brought to you by Nebraska Star Beef. Hello and welcome to another class session of Antelope 101. I'm Loper Review producer DJ Johnson, and I'll be your substitute teacher for the rest of the semester. Last month we began our look at the decade of the 50s with an encore presentation of a feature focusing on Hall of Fame football coach Al Zickman. This month we take a look at the success of his teams and the success of the Antelopes in other sports. We need to mention that the decade began with Charlie Foster as the football coach, and Charlie soon hired Preacher Franklin to replace him. You might say Franklin broke even in his 2 years with the Antelopes, finishing with an 8-8-2 record. Coach Zickman took over the program in 1955 and won the school's first Nebraska College Conference championship that very first season. With Coach Zickman in charge, the team finished the last half of the decade with a combined record of 42-5, with undefeated seasons in 1956 and 1958. Among the best players who led the Antelopes before Coach Zickman took over were Dick Elm, the captain of the 52 team, quarterback Eddie Staub, and lineman Doyle Fife. Fife would earn a dozen letters for the Antelopes, 4 each in football, basketball, and track. He would later become the assistant basketball coach at the school for 10 years. In 1955, Merle Bachman played numerous positions on the way to earning All-America honors. In fact, the only position he didn't play during his college career was center. A year later, the torch was passed to Dave Brink and Mike Augustine. Brink, pictured on the left, was 3-time All-Conference at tight end, and Augustine was an All-American lineman. The name Claire Boroff became associated with the Antelopes in 57 and 58, leading the conference in scoring and setting the stage for succeeding Coach Zickman as the team's head coach almost 15 years later. Boroff didn't have to score often in 1958. That team posted 4 shutouts. Basketball had limited success in the 50s due partly to having to endure the antiquated facilities at what is now Copeland Hall. In fact, the team played many of their home games at area high schools. Les Livingston would make the team competitive when he became head coach in 1956. Gary Schmidt was the team's leading scorer as a junior and senior in the late 50s. Here he scores against Tom Osborne of Hastings College. The decade ended with one of the best track seasons in school history as Coach Charlie Foster guided the Antelopes to a runner-up finish at the NAIA Nationals. The team featured All-American Ray Mars. Coach Foster resurrected the cross-country program in 1956, and here he watches race winner Larry Snell lead the team to the NAIA District 11 Championship in 1959. That's going to be all the time we have for our look back at the 50s here on Antelope 101. We hope you'll be attending class next month. Right now, it's back to our Loper Review host, Randy Bushcutter.
Well, next month we'll move from the 1950s to the 1960s, and I'm sure a look at Loper athletics will be groovy. That is our show for this month. We want to thank you for joining us for Loper Review. I'm your host, Randy Bushcutter. We'll be back again next month. Until then, see ya and go Lopers.
Loper Review is brought to you by Nebraska Star Beef.
The Nebraska Star Beef Pure Promise. No antibiotics, no hormones, humane treatment of animals, USDA choice or higher, a price that is always fair, and satisfaction guaranteed. At Nebraska Star Beef, we pay close attention to what we feed our families and are passionate about delivering beef that you can feel good about serving to your family. Visit us at nebraskastarbeef.com for more information.